Hi, my name's Tom Wilgum. Welcome back into the ASUG News Studio, sponsored by NTT Data. We're broadcasting live here from TechEd and Decode. And I'm delighted to have Soren Hastrup in the studio. Thank you for coming in.
Yep, thank you.
You are the CEO of Telesto Group.
Yep, that's correct.
Tell us a little bit about what do you guys do there?
So Telesto Group has been, I founded the company in 2002 and had a kind of a rich history of working with SAP. All the founders come either for Big Five or all from SAP. In the last few years, we've really been focusing in on application lifecycle management, trying to help our customers manage their environments a little bit more efficiently. Yep. All the way from whether it's managing the requirements, all the way to upgrading, data management, testing, etc.
So ALM is pretty broad, but yet there's some really core things. What are the core areas in there that you really kind of, are there core areas in there you focus in?
Yeah, so I think, when you talk about ALM and the way that SAP has, I think in general trying to position it, they've really been talking about solution manager, they've been talking about testing, but when we look at ALM, we try to have a little bit broader view, really starting all the way from how do you manage your requirements, how do you design, how do you build that design into a blueprint, how do you test, how do you then monitor that, and how do you upgrade. But overarchingly as well, on top of all of that, we try to focus in on not just those individual disciplines, but also how do you manage your program or your organization, period. So what's the PMO look like in terms of how you manage that. So
it's a broader
spectrum.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean though, so we kind of have two types of customers. We talk about ALM. Yeah. For us, there is very specific targeted things that we do, whether it's building up a testing center of excellence as a starting point, or whether it's going into a tool like TDMS or landscape transformation, trying to help the customer with data.
So, we talked before about this, achieving the right balance of data, process, and technical tools.
Right. Before
we get into that, I mean, what does that mean?
Well, for us, and again, when you look at how SAP positions a lot of the tools, we have seen over the last few years these tools for ALM services really getting more robust. So why is it that really a lot of customers still struggling kind of putting those tools in place? Right. So one of the things we have noticed and what we try to focus on, it's really as much about how do we bring the right people in, it's really a transformation project. So trying to get, looking at the entire portfolio and then figuring out step by step and creating a roadmap to put really a functioning ALM solution in from end to end.
Right.
Starting with requirements all the way through how do I upgrade.
Who are those right people? People who want to get it done? I mean, is it sponsorship or how does that work?
Yeah, so what's critical to really be successful in getting a kind of an end-to-end ALM solution, what we have learned is clear sponsorship all the way from the top, meaning either getting a CIO and really start driving that process down. However, sometimes we start out, as I mentioned earlier, really with a rifle shot. It could be they have a data management issue, so we come in, help them with that, and then we start really chipping away, laying out the roadmap, and then gaining the momentum of getting change done.
Yep, absolutely.
So
you can talk a lot about tools here with this discussion, but what is the business value of doing ALM and doing it right?
Well, when we look at business value, and it's always, the first question we get from our customers is typically around how much money can I save, right? So what's the cost? How can I reduce? I want to do more with less, right? So how do I do that? So that's typically the first conversation, but we try to steer the conversation into three areas. One is obviously cost. How can we save you money? I can give a couple of examples on that, but secondly, it is also what's the quality of the product you're actually delivering to your customer, right? And then thirdly, and you hear this today, what's the speed, what's the agility in which I can deliver these applications? So we saw the 3-click process today in the keynote, but all of us who've been around this for 20 years, we know it's not 3 clicks and it's done, right? There's a process here, but how can we get 1 or 2 more release cycles in for the year? We believe those are for the quality, the cost, and then also the speed in which we can deliver these solutions is important to us. As far as examples, I mean, we have, very interesting, 2 interesting examples. One is a customer where we saved them $2 million just in storage alone by putting a new data management solution in, which is a tremendous amount of unlocked value. Right. Then you have another customer who had 29 people involved in their entire release of upgrading their QA systems, and we moved that from 29 people down to 1. So you go do the calculations on how much money we just saved them, on what value we unlocked.
Right.
So those are the type of, really solutions that we want to try to get out there.
So those are fantastic savings. Our company, but I'm going to guess it takes some work to get, or it takes some discipline, or does it? Maybe I'm assuming that.
Yeah, so the example I gave of the roughly $2 million a year saving, that was the cost for us was around $500K to get that done without getting into how we cost that out, but so you can look at an ROI that's pretty much immediate. Obviously there is an upfront cost associated with it in terms of our cost and their own labor. But within 1 year, they had that returned 2 times. So
that's pretty good.
Very, very easy, honestly, to sell.
All right. So as we wrap up here, last point is, we've been talking about SAP HANA. There's been a lot of there. If you're thinking about an SAP customer who's looking to move, from your point of view, from Telesto's point of view, what's the #1 thing they should be thinking about?
Well, obviously, assuming they've already been thinking about the business value of going to HANA, so we don't necessarily address that. That's something they would have done with another vendor or with SAP. But for us, it's all about ensuring that if you're not managing your applications today efficiently and then moving to HANA, that doesn't really help it. So it still is all about how can we still get your requirements, identify, get it designed, and get it moved in so you can unlock that value you're looking for. So ELM is really agnostic of whatever platform you're on. You still have to manage day to day. Obviously SAP is providing some great tools now that makes it easier. So there's some of that complexity going away. But at the end of the day, most of these large customers that we're working with, they still got to get their arms around the ELM process, period.
So there's no silver bullet, actually.
There's no silver bullet. We don't have one customer that's alike. They all have different processes. They're at a different state in their development, so we come in and we create a custom roadmap for them.
Great.
That's our job.
Great. Well, Soren, thank you very much for coming in. It's been a pleasure to talk with you.
No, really, my pleasure, and thank you so much.
Sure.
Yep.
For more ASUG News customer stories, as well as our wonderful SAP partner stories, please check out asugnews.com.